A guy helped his wife heal. Then she left him right the moment she felt whole again. Turns out self-love sometimes starts with ghosting the person who loved you the most. Today's Reddit story isn't just about divorce, it's about a man who thought he was building a future with the woman he loved, until she got in shape, found her glow, and decided she should upgrade. Because sometimes people mistake healing for leveling up, and the person who helped you out of the darkness gets left behind in the shadows. Let's talk about what happens when "I'm feeling better" becomes "I deserve better," then turns into a miserable mess. Here is his story. I'm not sure what I'm doing here, sharing the most private story of my life. Maybe I just want to find a little understanding, a little validation from someone out there. Or simply, I hope this story can help someone who's just like me, going through something similar. Sitting here now, alone, in this empty living room, devoid of family warmth, I feel more isolated than ever. My entire life, it just got completely turned upside down. Just a few months ago, I truly believed I had it all. A stable career at 32, a happy home, and most importantly, a wife I was madly in love with. A woman I'd do anything for. But then, everything shattered. Not because of a big fight or some major catastrophe, but because of a change. A quiet, subtle change, but one that was ultimately destructive. And sadly, I was the one who, unknowingly, set everything in motion. We had been married for 4 years, and those 4 years were the best years of my life. Lily, she was my whole world. When we first met, she wasn't what most people would consider perfect beauty by society standards. Lily was a little bit chubby, but I loved that roundness, that warmth. It made her approachable and genuine. She was sweet, intelligent, and always my steadfast rock, the person I could share everything with. Now, looking at old photos, I find it even harder to express the emptiness and loss inside of me. Those old wedding photos, when we walked hand in hand, our faces radiant, smiles so happy, and our eyes were so full of love. Those afternoons when we were strolling in the park, the golden sunlight filtering through the leaves. Or those moments when we cooked together in the kitchen, laughing and teasing each other, dining together, watching a movie together. All of it is now gone. I used to believe that true love was enough, that with love and trust we could overcome anything. But I was wrong. It turns out sometimes a person's change can be the very poison that kills everything. And the most painful part is when that person changes so much, you don't even recognize them anymore. Everything started in 2022. Lily, my wife, who was always so full of energy, suddenly plunged into a deep depression. The pressure from her job weighed her down to the point where she didn't recognize herself. Lily often sat listlessly on the sofa, her eyes clearly showing exhaustion, staring blankly into space. I understood that feeling more than anyone, because I'd been there myself. Before I married Lily, I myself also went through a dark period, battling negative thoughts, and the only thing that pulled me out of that swamp was the gym. I suggested Lily give it a try just once, because I believed that physical activity would help her release tension and find herself again. After many attempts to persuade her, Lily finally agreed. We started going to the gym together. My work became busier after I got promoted, so I couldn't go as often as before. But whenever I could, I made sure to be there with her. At first, Lily was just reluctant, her face grimacing as she performed the exercises, sometimes even complaining that she wanted to quit. But I always tried to be by her side, patiently guiding her through each movement or wiping every drop of sweat from her forehead. And as I did everything, I always smiled, cheering her on. And then, as she saw her body gradually change, as those firmer contours appeared, she started to get more interested and became captivated before she even knew it. Lily lost weight, her body became more toned, her muscles firmer, and most importantly, she became cheerful, full of vitality. I knew my wife was a beautiful woman, even before we got married, but now Lily was even more alluring. Witnessing Lily grow more confident and radiant, I was incredibly happy. Sometimes I'd even joke, "If you'd started working out sooner, you might have landed a rich guy." Lily would always laugh at those kinds of jokes and warmly reply, "Silly, I only love you." I thought everything was finally back on track. However, that new confidence, it was like a double-edged sword. At first, I loved it. Lily became more proactive, more sensual and seductive in the bedroom. She boldly expressed herself, and I thought that was a good thing. But then, that blade started turning back, cutting into our relationship. That confidence, little by little, began to turn into arrogance. Lily started dressing more glamorously and going out more often every evening. She began going to parties endlessly, coming home very late, sometimes even the next morning. Housework, she completely neglected it. Our home visibly became messy. Clothes were scattered on chairs, dishes were piled high in the sink, and empty pizza boxes were on the table. Sometimes, after work, I'd have to clean up everything alone. During those times, I felt somewhat disappointed. I knew she was busy with her job, with her new social connections, but some things were just unacceptable. I tried talking to her, but she just brushed me off, saying I was too controlling, too sensitive. She told me to let her enjoy life after a long period of darkness. I kept telling myself, maybe she's just in a burst phase after depression, and everything will be okay. But then I started hearing strange phone calls, giggles coming from her home office late at night, lasting for hours. Lily always locked the door when she was on the phone, her voice faintly sounding very intimate. My man's intuition, it told me something was wrong. A chilling feeling ran down my spine. I knew this wasn't just enjoying life anymore. And then, what I feared most finally happened. At one of her friends' gatherings, I witnessed it right before my eyes. Lily, my wife, the woman I once loved more than my own life, in a form-fitting dress with heavier makeup than usual, was flirting with another man right in front of me. That man was about 40, polished, sophisticated, with the air of a true playboy. Her sparkling eyes, constantly staring, and the radiant smile she gave him. They weren't the eyes and smile she used to have for me. She frequently touched his arm, linked arms with him so casually, even though I stood just a few feet away. In a crowd full of people, even with the love of my life, I felt like a ghost. Everything seemed to freeze, my blood seemed to stop flowing, and I became invisible in my own life. That feeling, it was worse than being slapped in the face. After that gathering, I tried to communicate. I clearly expressed how I felt hurt and abandoned. But she just brushed me off, saying I was too controlling, too sensitive. She told me to loosen up a bit. After a few more times like that, I knew I had to act. I forced her to sit down for a serious conversation. Lily and I sat opposite each other in the living room. The atmosphere was suffocatingly tense. I tried to remain calm and patiently look at Lily, but Lily just leaned back in the chair, arms crossed, with an indifferent expression, refusing to meet my gaze. I reminded her of my own depression, how I overcame it. I warned her that she was riding high on this new wave of confidence and could very well make wrong decisions based on impulsive emotions. I knew that feeling well because I'd been there myself. And then I suggested we both go to marriage counseling. I believed that was the only way to save everything. And that's when all hell truly broke loose. Suddenly, Lily sprang up from the chair, her eyes sharp and cold, her lip curling in a contemptuous sneer. She raised her hand, throwing a throw pillow directly at my face. I had no time to react. Lily's voice was harsh, full of contempt and cruelty, echoing through the room. Counseling? Who do you think you are to tell me how to live? You're just a loser, a coward who only knows how to bury himself in the past. Do you think this body, this confidence, I achieved it because of you? Is that it? Don't make me laugh. I realized I'm worth so much more after getting this body. I can do 100 times better than you. You're insecure. You don't deserve me. At that moment, I could only sit still, motionless, staring blankly into space. I managed a strained smile, but my heart ached beyond words. Lily's venomous words echoed in my head, like a knife twisting in my heart. That woman, the woman I once believed was an angel, the sweetest person in the world, now spitting out such brutal words right into my face? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My heart felt like it was shattering into a million pieces. But the worst part wasn't the pain, it was the sheer shock. I was shocked at not realizing how much the person beside me had changed. She had become a complete stranger. We didn't see each other much after that, and the next month she filed for divorce. She quickly packed her personal belongings into a suitcase, coldly and decisively. Lily didn't even bother to glance at me, didn't say a word goodbye, just pulled her suitcase and walked straight out the door. And she was gone. Completely. Not a single explanation, not a single call, just cold, formal conversations with her lawyer. Everything just ended like that. The door slammed shut, and everything became eerily empty. After that, she went silent. Completely. After that fateful day, Lily vanished from my life as if she'd never existed. I didn't know where she was, what she was doing, or who she was living with. But Mark's words kept echoing in my ears. Hey buddy, I hate to say it, but once a woman changes her body, they changes as a person too. She might have someone else. Mark is my best friend, and he told me that one time when we went out for a drink to forget our troubles. After Lily disappeared, the longing for her made it impossible for me to sleep without alcohol in my system. My friend Mark is an experienced man. He's been through a lot of ups and downs in love. And the intuition and experience of a betrayed man, it's never wrong. Mark then introduced me to a friend of his, a private investigator named Dave. Dave was a middle-aged man, dressed simply, but with sharp eyes that exuded professionalism and mystery. We met at a small, cozy coffee shop. Still, I was constantly filled with worry. Mark was also there. He introduced us, his face never losing its sympathetic expression. Dave didn't seem like the talkative type. He just listened calmly as I told him everything and looked at the photo of Lily I gave him. I only said one sentence. I need you to follow a bird flying too high. Dave didn't ask any more questions. He just nodded, his face devoid of expression, but I knew he understood. After a few weeks of discreet surveillance and thorough information gathering, Dave sent me an email. Inside was a thick digital file. That file, it contained things I never wanted to see, but I had to look. I had to know the truth, no matter how painful it was. At that moment, I sat in front of my computer screen, my fingers trembling as I moved the mouse to open each file. As I opened the first one, I was stunned, and then gradually, the only thing I felt was a terrifying coldness. The light from the computer screen reflecting in my eyes showed things I could never forget. The first photo that hit me was Lily kissing the playboy in a luxurious restaurant, his hand wrapped around his waist. The second, they were vacationing together, smiling radiantly on a secluded beach. And then, a short video. The video was shot from a distance. The quality wasn't perfectly clear, but it was enough for me to see Lily and the playboy walking hand in hand into a luxurious apartment. They kissed passionately right before the door, and then the door closed. I could only sit there, staring at the screen, empty. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My heart pounded rapidly and powerfully, as if it wanted to burst. That apartment? It wasn't Lily's, nor was it the playboy's. Dave found out that it was an apartment they rented together. They were living together, while our divorce papers weren't even finalized. Everything shattered. But not in the way I thought it would. I walked into a modern law office, bathed in cold light, and sat across from my lawyer. I placed a file on the table, but didn't open it. Looking at it, my lawyer, usually so composed, seemed surprised and a bit bewildered. I only revealed a fraction of the bombshell evidence to him. I didn't want him to know everything too soon. My plan required precision and perfect timing. I wanted everything to unfold as smoothly as possible, so she, Lily, would think she had won easily, that she had escaped me without any obstacles. But I knew this game, it had only just begun. My daily life continued as usual. I went to work, started hitting the gym more regularly, and sometimes went out with friends. I just waited. I believed everything would go exactly as I had planned, with no one knowing about the silent scheme unfolding. Throughout that time, Lily continued to enjoy her freedom. She still appeared confident and radiant, attending parties and living the life she believed she deserved. She had no idea she had walked into a game she had no control over. And then, that fateful day arrived, the divorce hearing. The light in the courtroom was quite cold. Lily appeared in a luxurious outfit, her eyes full of pride, her face radiant with confidence, like a victorious queen who had just escaped a suffocating marriage. She thought everything would happen quickly, and she'd gain absolute freedom along with her new lover. As for me, I just sat alone in a corner of the room. I had nothing but anticipation. I saw the playboy there too. He sat a few rows behind Lily, but his eyes kept darting towards her, his face showing a hint of worry. That scumbag. He would soon realize he had made the biggest mistake of his life, choosing to be with Lily, and this drama was about to reach its climax. Lily was sitting beside her lawyer, still exuding confidence. Suddenly, the courtroom door swung open. A very subtle sound, but it marked the beginning of a knockout punch no one saw coming. In a cold burst of light, a woman appeared with someone who seemed to be her lawyer. Her face was icy, her eyes sharp as knives, radiating an undeniable authority. The moment they saw her, Lily and the playboy's faces instantly shifted from self-satisfaction to shock, then drained of all color. Her gaze swept over the playboy with utter contempt, as if looking at something filthy. She said not a word, not even a superfluous glance at Lily. She walked straight to my lawyer, her face full of confidence, her eyes resolute and proud, like someone holding all the cards. She handed him a thick folder. Just by its thickness, I knew that Dave and this lady had worked very efficiently. Thanks to Detective Dave's help, from the picture of Lily and the playboy, I found another extremely interesting image. It was of a middle-aged woman, elegant and charismatic, along with her name and position, Mrs. X. Alongside were photos of her with the playboy at major social events. The playboy wasn't just a wealthy man. He was a high-ranking colleague, holding a position within Lily's own company. No wonder she fell for him. But more importantly, he was married. A model family, at least on the surface. His wife, Mrs. X, was a woman known for her elegance, strength, and significant influence. Immediately, I knew this was the key to everything. I didn't want to destroy Lily myself. I wanted her to face the consequences of her actions, to realize what she had lost and for whom. What I wanted was a special kind of justice, not blind revenge. I had sent an anonymous email to Mrs. X. In it, I only included a single photo, Lily and her husband, the playboy, embracing in that luxurious restaurant, along with a short message, just enough to ignite everything. Look closely at your husband next Thursday, 7 p.m. at La Fleur restaurant. I didn't reveal my identity. I trusted Mrs. X's intelligence and instincts. I knew she would find out the truth herself. From that moment, I didn't interfere further. I knew Mrs. X was an intelligent, strong, and decisive woman. She wouldn't ignore information like that, and when she made her move, things wouldn't be a smooth divorce anymore. And indeed, Mrs. X did not disappoint me. My lawyer looked at the folder, his eyebrows raised, but he quickly understood my intention and scanned the first few pages. Then he looked at me. Meeting his eyes, I simply gave a slight nod. He stood up, requesting permission from the judge to add information to the divorce case. His voice resonated, decisive. Your Honor, we have undeniable evidence of Miss Lily's infidelity, and this evidence could seriously impact the court's final ruling as well as the reputations of both parties. Lily jumped up, her face white with panic. Her voice stammered, trembling. No way. He's lying. This is slander. Lily still tried to protest in vain. The playboy also sprang up, his face pale, his lips moving soundlessly as he whispered, his voice trembling, full of panic. What is this? What the hell is going on? Lily's lawyer tried to defend her, but his words were weak, unable to override the truth being exposed. My lawyer then began to present the evidence, sharp photos of Lily and the playboy being intimate, a recording of their phone calls, and most importantly, the short video of them entering the apartment, which was played on the large screen. The courtroom erupted in murmurs and whispers. The judge had to repeatedly bang his gavel, demanding order. When all the evidence was presented, Lily and the playboy's faces drained of all color. They were stunned, panicked, unable to utter a single word. The entire courtroom seemed to hold its breath before the secrets were exposed. In that very moment, I knew this battle was over. I just sat there, completely calm. I felt no emotion, no anger, no joy, just emptiness and acceptance. I looked at Lily one last time with a detached gaze, as if looking at a complete stranger. I only felt a deep disappointment, a final disappointment for the woman I had once loved with all my heart, the woman I had trusted with my entire life. The judge then declared a recess for further investigation and ordered the police to escort Lily and the playboy out. Lily looked at me, her eyes pleading, but I pretended not to see her. Everything crumbled for Lily faster than I thought. Right after that fateful court session, the scandal involving her and the playboy quickly spread throughout their company and their social circles. Both were suspended from work for an internal investigation, and just a few days later, they received their termination notices. It was a fatal blow. Lily sat on the floor of her office, her phone slipping from her hand. Termination papers were scattered around her. Her face was distraught, her eyes welling up as she stared blankly into space, just like before when everything started. At the same time, the playboy sat in another room, his face pale, his mobile phone trembling in his hand. The doorbell rang insistently. Mrs. X, that woman who is not to be underestimated, had officially filed for divorce and sued the playboy for adultery, causing severe damage to her reputation and finances. The playboy may have lost everything: his career, his family, and the honor he had built over the years. He didn't have time to worry about anything else. That night, my phone vibrated continuously, the screen displaying dozens of missed calls and messages from Lily. A long message appeared. Lily pleaded, filled with remorse. "Paul, I was wrong. I'm so sorry. I know I made a mistake. Please come back. I have nothing left. Please just give me one more chance." I stared at the screen, with no intention of answering. After that, Lily kept trying to contact me. Desperate pleas, choked sobs. She begged me to come back, saying she had realized her mistake. But I didn't answer the phone. I didn't reply to the messages, not because I was still angry, but because I was just too disappointed. That empty feeling of hearing the futile pleas from the woman I once loved more than myself, it hurt more than any anger. There was simply nothing left to say. The confidence she had traded for our marriage, now it was gone. It vanished like a soap bubble. She lost her job, her reputation, and the friends who had once admired her transformation. No one wanted to help her, no one wanted to be associated with such a scandal. She had to face financial hardship and loneliness. She destroyed her own life, not me. I was just the one who gave her the opportunity to realize it herself. The divorce was finally finalized smoothly. Holding the stack of papers from my lawyer in my hand, I felt a sense of relief, as if a heavy burden had been lifted. I had nothing left to dispute, nothing left to hold on to. I was free. Free from a painful past, and free from a woman who had become a stranger. After all that upheaval, I realized I wasn't angry anymore. That feeling had vanished, replaced by a strange peace. I embarked on a journey to rebuild my life, starting with the smallest things. I renovated my home office, which used to be Lily's space, clearing out old furniture, repainting the walls with brighter colors, and installing new bookshelves. Now it's where I find myself again. I returned to the gym, focusing on training myself and dedicating time to hobbies I had long neglected. Maybe someday I'll open my heart to love again. I'll seek a new, genuine, and healthier relationship, but not now. Now, as I walk through a lush green park bathed in bright sunlight, I want to prioritize the peace within my soul to heal old wounds, because I've realized the sweetest revenge isn't making someone suffer. It's finding peace and happiness for yourself after the storm. There's no longer any trace of pain or bitterness. That's the real victory. If you're watching this video and have gone through something similar, a betrayal, an unimaginable pain, trust me, everything will be okay. Sometimes letting go isn't weakness, but the strongest way to preserve your self-worth, to love yourself. Trust your instincts, those initial gut feelings, and never settle for less than you truly deserve. In this life, you deserve the best. Thank you for listening to today's story from the Red Flag Radar channel. If this story resonated with you, please like, share this video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other emotional, real-life stories and valuable lessons. See you in the next video.